Yeah. Now let's go to the solubility equilibrium of the sparingly soluble salts. What is a sparingly soluble salts means? It's a slightly soluble, not completely, correct? Now we have it's a slightly soluble. Sparingly soluble salts means it's not completely dissolved. Okay, it's a slightly soluble, but still some portions will be remain as a insoluble only. So we have already known that solubility of the ionic solids and water varies a great deal. Some of these calcium chlorides are so soluble that they are the hygroscopic in nature and even absorb the water vapor from the atmosphere. So a couple of examples. So if some of the different examples of soluble salts we have, right? One is the calcium chloride, which are so soluble that they are hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means when you keep in the open environment, it will absorb the water vapors from the atmosphere, so it will become the moist. So others, you have the lithium fluoride. They are so little soluble that they are commonly termed as the insoluble. So we have the two ranges now. One is the highly soluble, other is the very less soluble, okay? And they are commonly known as the insoluble. The solubility depends on a number of factors, important amongst which are the lattice enthalpy of the salt and the solvation enthalpy of the ions in the solutions. Now how the solubility depends now? Like NaCl, which is soluble in water, right? So a couple of parameters which exist, which defines that the particular salt will be soluble or not soluble, okay, or the slightly soluble. So one of the features is that the lattice enthalpy, okay. So enthalpy already, I think we have done the enthalpy part, right? Or no, it will be coming in the later part for you. Enthalpy, the delta H, right? Gibbs energy delta H. Did we do the enthalpy for you? Yeah? Delta
the Gibson thing.
We just used it.
I think we've done that before.
We have done that before. In thermodynamics, it will come because.
Okay, thermodynamics. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
We haven't done thermodynamics, but I studied.
Yeah, in thermodynamics, it will come delta H. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So, but you just remember that delta H is, if it is negative, then means is exothermic reaction. If it is positive, then it means endothermic reaction. Okay. So lattice enthalpy of the salt and the solvation enthalpy of the ions in the solution. So basically, lattice enthalpy is how the stronger the bond is with the crystal lattice, how strongly it is stable in the solid structure. And solvation enthalpy of the ions means how quickly if the bonds gets broken there and the ions can be dissolved in the solution. For a salt to dissolve in the solvent, the strong force of attraction between the ions must be overcome by the ion-solvent interactions. So what is meaning here is that the attraction between the ions has to be overcome. Attraction between the ions has to be lesser than compared to the attraction with the ion and the solvent part. Then only that bond will get broken. Clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
So the solvation enthalpy of the ions is referred in terms of the solvation, which is always negative. Energy is released by the process of solvation, and the amount of the solvation enthalpy depends on the nature of the solvent. Okay. Now, in the case of the non-polar covalent solvent, solvation enthalpy is small and hence not sufficient to overcome the lattice enthalpy of the salt. Consequently, the salt does not dissolve in the non-polar solvent. As a general rule, for the salt to be able to dissolve in the particular solvent, its solvation enthalpy must be greater than its lattice enthalpy. Okay, so that the later may be overcome by the former, and each salt has its characteristic solubility, which depends on the temperature. And we classify the salts on the basis of the solubility in the following three categories. Okay, just write down these categories. Then we'll explain to you. So category 1, category 2 and category 3. Okay, just write down this part. This table you write down. Yeah, once you write down the table, let me just tell you this part. Yeah. This table you write down. this one. Okay. So in the category 1, we just see we have mentioned that those salts which are exactly soluble in the solution. So basically, solute will become the solvent in the solute will become the soluble in the solvent. So that is the first category, is the soluble, where the solubility is greater than 0.1 molarity. Right? Now, what does it mean here? Okay, that means 0.1. So that means when we say that 0.1 moles is soluble in the 1 liter of the solution. So the category is the first one is the soluble part. That means everything is soluble in that part, right? Nothing is left out now. Now category 2 is a slightly soluble. What do you mean slightly soluble? How do you quantify that? How do you measure in terms of the numbers? So we mentioned in the terms of this part is very important. 0.01 molarity, less than solubility, less than 0.1 molar. Got it? So 1 to 0.1 to 0.01. So basically 1/10. Okay. So between 0.1 to 1/10 of that, if the value comes in the solubility range, then it is called the category 2. Clear? So all these things which is slightly soluble has to be in the category of the 0.01 to 0.1. Fine. Now in the category 3 we get it sparingly soluble. What is sparingly soluble? That means the solubility is very less than the 0.01 molarity. So that we see is a sparingly soluble. That's not, I mean, close to not soluble. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So remember, this values is important. The solubility factor is important. Okay. Based on that, we'll be doing some numericals also. So solubility product constant now. Okay. So now let us now have this solid like the barium sulfate in contact with saturated aqueous solution. The equilibrium between the undissolved solid and the ions in the saturated solution can be represented by the equation. Now write in the equation now BaSO4. This equation write on BaSO4 saturated solution in water gives the barium ions plus sulfate ions.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we have the barium sulfate saturated solution in the water. If you just see, this barium ions plus sulfate ions is going, and the equilibrium sign is also given there, right? Now, so it's a solid and it dissolves aqueous solution. It forms the barium ions, the sulfate ions is there, right? Now the equilibrium established between the undissolved solid and the ions in the saturated. So these barium ions and sulfate ions are in the ions. Okay, these are in the solution part. But barium sulfate, when you dissolve, that remains the, some part remains the solid only. Correct?
Okay.
Now, if we, as per the formula, if we define the equilibrium constant, then what will be? Write down K is equal to barium sulfate ions divided by barium sulfate. Correct?
Yeah.
Now we have the one more thing here. So when we try to define in terms of molar concentration, so what you will get? Now your formula is like this, correct? Okay. Now for the pure solid substance, the concentration remains a constant, and we can write like this now. For the pure solid substance, the concentration remains a constant, and we can write it like this, K. Just write on this part there. Equation 7.43. Just write on the equation 7.43. Then we'll try to understand this part.
Okay, sir.
You know?
Hmm.
See, look at this, because we talked about the sparingly soluble things. That means very small portion is soluble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You got it, sir.
Good, excellent. Now, here we tell that it is the solubility product. Okay, this KSP is nothing but the solubility product constant. Now, KSP, why do we say that? Because for the solid substance which doesn't have the because the BSO4 equivalent to that is whatever the concentration you use in the BSO4, after dissolving also we can compare it, will remains the same. Okay, the experimental value of KSP in the equation is 1.1 in 10 power minus 10. Look at this value now. KSP value is very small, 1.1 in 10 power minus 10. This means that for the solid barium sulfate in equilibrium with the saturated solution, the product concentration of barium sulfate ion is equal to the solubility product constant, and the concentration of the two ions will be equal to the molar stability of the molar solubility of the barium sulfate. Now, the molar solubility is S. Example. So this is the standard value. This is the write down this value. This value is the 1.1 in KSP, equilibrium constant, or the solubility product constant. For the sparingly soluble, because that remains the very small, so that value will be very small, and we can find out how much it is being the ions have been formed. So since the concentration is, the number of moles is only 1 in the ions part, so you can just write the concentration as S, molar concentration S into S. So the formula will become the KSP will be equal to S into S. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And we can find the value of S then. Once you get the value of S, it will get something. When you do this square root of 1.1 and 10 power minus 5, somehow you will get the value of 1.05 into 10 power minus 5. Clear? Is this part clear to you?
Okay.
Clear? Now the salt may give on dissociation 2 or more than 2 cations and the anions carrying the different charges. For example, consider the salt like zirconium phosphate. The molecular formula is Zr4 plus whole 3 and PO4 3 minus 4 dissociates in the 3 zirconium ions of the charge plus 4 and 4 phosphate anions of the charge minus 3. Okay, how do you write basically this part? So let's try to understand this part. How do we write these things? It's just the same, the molar concentration which you had studied earlier. There is no difference on that part. When we talk about the zirconium sulfate, so write down this part, the zirconium phosphate. Okay, the zirconium phosphate you write down. Now when it gives the ions, so now you know that the concentration will get to the power of whatever the number of moles it is, right? Zr4 plus the whole is 3, so that means 3 3 times the concentration of Zr4 plus ions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct, no? So I'll just tell you this part. I'll explain to you the meaning of this part so that you understand. First concentrate on this part now. Why it is the Zella 3 plus is coming as 3s and PO4 3 minus is coming as 4s now. The reason being Zella 4 plus ion is 3 is when we take the solubility, we take the molar concentration as S and the total power is 3. So it will become the 3 into S because it's a 3 times this is a Zella 4 plus ions are there. So 3 times the concentration because when it splits into 3 times of the concentration and the 4 times of phosphate ion concentration. So the ratio is 3:4. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
So the phosphate ions will show in the ratio of 3:4, so it becomes a 4s. Right? Now you apply the equilibrium constant formula. Ksp will be equal to the power will get multiplied to the 3s and the 4s, isn't it? So let's try to understand. Yeah. Now here, okay, this part is clear. Okay, Sp will be equal to 3s whole power 3 and 4s whole power 4. So when you solve it, it becomes the, what will be the answer now? 6912 S power 7. Correct? Now,
Yes,
the
sir.
concentration value when you try to solve it by keeping the value of Ksp, you should get the standard value now. So this is the value it's giving, right?
Yeah.
Correct. This part is clear to me, right? When you find the the concentration of the ions, that will be given by Ksp by 6912 whole power 1 by 7, 7th root of it. So basically it depends on how many the ions is getting formed now. So this becomes the general formula. Now we'll derive the general formula for this salts when they dissolve in the water and they are sparingly soluble. Correct? So solid state is general formula. If we can always define this. If it's something is general formula is mx power plus. Let's see. We'll define in terms of variable part so that it will be clear to you. So let's consider the this is the ions which is coming in the aqueous solution. So ions will, along with the ions we have given the look. So we have the two ions now here, mxp plus and the xyq minus. So all variables only.
Okay.
So x and y are the valency part, and p plus is the ions and q minus is the ions now. Place only x and y is the only important part because x and y only defines the how many times the concentration will be happening. Clear? So now,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So this can be written as when it dissolves in the solution, in the aqueous solution, how many moles of xmp plus ions will be coming. So that will be written as like this. Write down this equation now. Clear? So it will become xmp plus aqueous plus y xq minus. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Good. Now let's go with the next part now. So now we know already this part. Since it is sparingly soluble, so x into P plus is equal to y is equal to P Q minus. That's a solubility part. Now we'll try to map it using the solubility, using the product constant, how much the S's value is coming now, because this is a general formula for you now. Okay, now we'll substitute in the formula of KSP formula. So let's try to put in the K formula that I explained to you. Now can you see this for what's happening here? KSP, you know that KSP is equal to the concentration of MP plus the whole power. Whole power is X, and XQ minus whole power is Y. Correct?
Yeah.
Now the concentration is X into S, because suppose the molar concentration is S for the both of them, then the ratio is X2 to Y, so S will get multiplied to the X, so the MP plus concentration will be X into S, and XQ minus concentration will be Y into S, right? So X into S, the whole power is X, and the Y into S whole power is Y. Clear?
Yes.
Now we'll solve it using the method which you see is exponent method. So open the bracket. Now the power will go to both the variables, correct? X power X into Y power X, combination of this part, X power X and then S power X, and then your other place you have a Y power Y and S power Y. So base is common for the S, so power will get added, and the base is different for the X and Y, and power is also different, so group it together.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now your main goal is to make the S as a subject. So keep the S in the one side with the power X plus Y. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now when you have to take the S square root on both sides, the square root will be 1 X plus Y square root. Got it? So S power
Yes, sir.
concentration will be given by KSP by X power X into Y power Y, the whole by 1 by X plus Y. So that means the X plus Y root. Clear? Any questions, any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Fine, yeah. Now let's go to this part now. So as you got it now, the term, whatever the term we defined, the KSP, then a solubility product constant, is given by the QSP section 7.6.2 when the concentration of one or more species is not the concentration under the equilibrium. Obviously under the equilibrium condition KSP will be equal to QSP, but otherwise it gives the direction of the process of precipitation of the dissolution. Okay, one more thing is that part is that, so what happens when the solubility product, when the process of precipitation will happen? So KSP is nothing but the it's equivalent to the QSP only when the one or more species is not the concentration under the equilibrium. That means some things were not in the equilibrium because it is sparingly soluble. So one part is still in the solid state, isn't it? Now, if it is the precipitation occurs, that means in the product side, if it dissolves but it forms the precipitate. Again, it becomes like an insoluble kind of thing, insoluble substance. Okay, that gives the process of precipitation. That means if it is not equal to KSP, if it is not equal to QSP, then you have something called the precipitation will occur, that you will see in the later part. The solubility product constants of the number of the common salts at 208 Kelvin are given in the table 7.9. So no problem. So, but this part is understood now. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now it's the same formula 7.45. Let's do the problem 7.28 now. 7.26, sorry, to understand more. Huh?
Yes, sir. Just continue.
Correct? This question is clear to you? Yeah. 7.26. Calculate solubility of A2X3 in the pure water, assuming that the neither kind of the ions reacts with the water, and the solubility product of A2X3 is given to you. Question is clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So when they say the neither kind of ions reacts with the water, understand that these ions are separately present in the water.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So use the same formula. KSP is equal to A3 plus the whole power 2 and then x2 minus 3. And remember that when the solubility is S, so A2 means it will be 2S when you it will be the ratio of 2:3, isn't it? So 2S and 3S, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that will become 108 as 5, x to the power 5.
How much you getting? 100? No, 100.
108 x to the power 5.
Fine. 108 and then power 5. Correct. Now you know the what is the KSP constant? KSP constant they have already given 1.18 10 power minus 23. Right.
1.1 to 15.
Yeah. So you can use the calculator to do that. You use the do the
Okay,
equivalent
sir.
part of it, right? Hmm.
Can I just round it up to 1? Because 1.1.
Yeah, you can round off to 1, no problem. Now we need to, yeah.
The 1.08 into 10 to the power minus 21.
Correct. S will be equal to what? S power 5, whatever you get, right?
1.8.
Yeah, this is the 1/5 the root. So make sure it's not a square root, it's a 1/5 the root, okay?
Oh, okay. Then that would be
Hmm.
1 into 10 power minus 25.
Correct. So when you take the fifth root of it, it will become 1 into 10 power minus 5 something, right?
Yeah.
Correct, no problem. You got it now. Before going to the problem, 2, 7.27, let's try to see the table 7.9. The solubility product constants KSP of the some common sol ionic salts at 298 Kelvin is given to you now. So 25 degrees is the room temperature, whatever is all given to you, KSP value. Okay, so just understand, just go through once this part now, because silver bromide is given as AgBr 500 minus 13, silver carbonate is given as 8.1 into 10 power minus 12, and silver chromate is given as 1.1 into 10 power minus 12. So all these are values they are given. So tomorrow if we the question, they can ask you to look at this table KSP value. If they don't give the KSP value, we need to see from this table only.
Okay, sir.
So you don't have to remember these values, nothing to just we can just see that 5.0 in 10 minus 13 and then minus 12, all because all these values are different, or different products, they have the different values. Okay, no problem. Now let's go to the problem 7.27 now. Now you remember the solubility values, and then based on that we'll try to see this part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 1 minute. The method is same, Jay. No difference, and you need it because before that also you found the value of S only, solubility only, that and after that also you need to find the value of solubility only, right?
Okay, sir.
But here you have to use the category 1 and category 2 to find out which will be the soluble or which will be less soluble.
Okay, sir.
Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Try it out. If you don't get it, then I'll explain to you. Yeah, hi Tanisha.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tanisha. So how's the preparation going?
I'm done with all the chapters, like only like 2 to 3 chapters are left. In maths also I was doing a straight line equation for straight line.
Okay, equation straight line. Straight line we haven't done now for you?
No, sir, so they taught in school, so I thought like I'll do it.
Yeah, okay. It's easy only. Once we finish this
Yes,
part,
sir,
I can explain to you.
they told us to do only the basics of it.
Yeah. Well, I think some 3 equations are there to form the straight lines.
Yes, sir, so
Yeah.
it's like intercept form, then
Correct.
intercept equation, then
Correct.
slope, point.
Yes, point slope form, 2-point
Okay.
form. Yeah, correct.
Then slope of perpendiculars, that's it.
Yes, true. Fine, no problem. So let's start with the bank reconciliation statement chapter, right? That's the chapter we need to do, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so open the chapter now. Bank reconciliation statement. We'll do that part.
So,
Yeah,
done.
then okay, excellent. What's the answer you got?
5.8 into 10 power minus 3.
So which is more soluble now?
NiOH2.
Exactly. Why is more soluble? Why it is more soluble? You have to check to go to the table where you mention the category 1, category, category 2 and category 3.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Now, these two values, whatever you get, now compare this where these are placed in that part now. See, 10 point in just thumb rule just says 10 power minus the NiOH2 has the how much solubility? 2 into 10 power minus 15. No, sorry. No, 0.58, right? And how much is that for this one? No. So how much you got for the S1 and S2? How much you got? S1 is how much?
S1 7.8 into 10 power minus 9.
S1 is got is how much you got? 7 into 10. So, yeah, 7.8 into 10 power minus 9. Okay. And S2 you got is 0.5 into 10 power minus 4. Correct? Now look at this part. 7.8 into 10 power minus 9 and 0.5. So one is 10 power minus 9, other is 10 power minus 4. Correct? So both are lesser than 0.01 molarity.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes, sir.
so both are anyway sparingly soluble. Correct? Now out of them,
Yeah.
the more the lesser value, the less it will be the less it will be soluble.
Sorry, sir?
The lesser value means less soluble. Bigger value means more soluble. Correct?
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
which you have now, find out this part now. When you found the Ni over this one, which one? So S1 value is S1 value is how much? 10 power minus 9, right? And
Yeah.
S1 is part of the AG, correct? AgCN.
Hmm.
So AgCN is very less soluble, and S2 is for the NiOH. So NiOH will come front, AgCN will come later. So more 10 power minus 4 is closer to the 0.01, and 10 power minus 9 is further away from the 0.01. So more farther away from
Okay.
and more farther away from 0.01, it will be less soluble, right?
Hmm.
And more closer
sir.
it is towards the 0.01, the more it will be soluble, because anyway these are the sparingly soluble only. These are
Okay.
anyway sparingly soluble, but we need to find out of this comparable which will be more soluble. Got it? Excellent. Clear? Understood or not? Like you have to put in ascending order,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Clear? Any questions? Any doubts?
No, sir. Clear.
Okay, excellent. So fine. Now just read the 7.13.2 now. I'll just explain to you this part. In case anything which is not clear, then I'll
Okay,
explain.
fine.
Just do one reading of it. We'll do that part. Okay. So, Tanisha, let's start now. This bank reconciliation statement. Okay. So, what is called the bank reconciling? What do you mean by reconciling? Reconciliation means literally meaning, dictionary meaning. What is the dictionary meaning of reconciliation? Hello? Is it audible to you? Vijay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tanisha, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, so there was a
You got
network
disconnected?
problem.
Your internet is not proper? You got disconnected?
Yes,
Not
sir.
stable? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So fine, Tanisha, let's understand the bank reconciliation statement now. What do you mean by reconciliation? What is the dictionary meaning of reconciliation? It's called restoration.
So, it's a restoration.
Correct. Restoration or adjustment. Correcting the mistakes. Adjustments. So when this happens now, let's understand. So yeah, in the previous chapter you read about the cash book entry. At the same time, some entry was there in the bank transactions also. Correct? Now, who is making the entry in the cash book? Dealer, supplier? Who is making the entry in the bank statements?
So, supplier.
Correct. Now who is making the entry in the bank statements? Banker.
Yes, sir.
Good. So two people working on the same kind of data at a different point of time. How sure that both the data will be true? Because two people manually working on the data, do you think there will not be errors?
So, there might be.
Yeah, obviously there might be. So basically, so at the end of the month, you need to tally that your cash book entry, whatever there in the bank side, and the bank side, when they tally the data should match both the debit and the credit side. Correct? If it doesn't matches, then we need to analyze what kind of mistake happened. What is the root cause of that error? How this error can be rectified. That's all we are going to learn in this bank reconciliation statement. Did you understand this part?
Yes.
Okay, now just read out the introduction part, then I'll explain to you the need for reconciliation. From there I'll explain to you. Okay,
Okay, sir.
just finish the introduction part.
So,
You read this part, 7.13.2?
yes, sir.
Okay, so did you understand there is something called the common ion effect on the solubility of the ionic salts now? What is this common ion effect? Now, let's understand that. De Chatelet's principle, we already studied about it. If we increase the concentration of any of the ions, it will combine with the ions of the opposite charge and some of the salts will be precipitated till once again the KSP will be equal to QSP. See, it's the same thing. Remember that in De Chatelet's principle also we discussed that when you put some extra amount of any of the reactants or the product side, again after some time the equilibrium will get established. Correct? Because it disturbs the equilibrium, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct. Similar thing also happens here also. Similarly, if the concentration of one of the ions is decreased, more salt will dissolve to increase the concentration of both of the ions till once again the KSP will be equal to QSP. Correct. Basically, we want to get in the equilibrium form. So what you are doing now, if you want to reduce the ions, one of the ions you reduce it, decrease it. So now what will happen? Because anyway it was sparingly soluble, but some of the ions it has to maintain the equilibrium condition, right? So again from there it'll dissolve it, and some of the more ion concentration will get increased there. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So this is even applicable to same thing we discussed in the soluble salts also. Same thing will exist in the case of the sparingly soluble salts also, because this is applicable even to soluble salts like sodium chloride, except that due to the higher concentration of ions, we use their activities instead of their molarities in the expression of the QSP now. Thus, if we take the saturated solution of sodium chloride and the pass HCl gas through it, then the sodium chloride is precipitated due to the increased concentration of the chloride ions available from the dissociation of the HCl now. Good. Now, another example. If we have this, let's try to understand this example clearly. Suppose you have a saturated solution of NaCl. Now you start passing the HCl gas through it. Correct? Now you start passing the HCl gas through it. So what will happen? The sodium chloride precipitates. Why? Because HCl, H plus ions will come out and Cl minus will come out in the case of when it dissolves in the water. So Cl minus combines with the Na plus ions, then the concentration of the NaCl can increase because it forms a precipitate. Then the equilibrium is shifting towards the left hand side. Clear? Because of the increased concentration of the chlorine ions, because chlorine ion has to combine with the Na plus ions. The sodium chloride thus obtained is very high purity, and we can get rid of the impurities like sodium and magnesium sulfates now. Okay, this is another kind of the purity, from impure to the pure mechanism, because only Cl minus ion will go combine with the Na plus to form the NaCl. So pure form of the salt can be obtained. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. The common ion effect is also used for the almost complete ion precipitation of the particular ion is sparingly salt with a very low value of the solubility product of the gravimetric estimation, and thus we can precipitate the silver ion as the silver chloride, ferric ion as its hydroxide ions, and barium ion as the sulfate ions for the quantitative estimation. So basically a couple of examples in which we want to precipitate as the pure salt. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do the 7.28 now. Let's try to understand 7.28. Give a shot for 7.28, then we'll go with the derivation part.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Tanisha, did you read the introduction part?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, any doubts, Tanisha, in the introduction?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So now what is the need for reconciliation? Let's try to understand. Okay, so basically it's generally expressed that when the comparison is made between the bank balance as shown in the firm's cash book and the two balances do not tally, then we have to first ascertain the cause of difference or thereof and then reflect on the statement called the bank reconciliation statement to reconcile the two balances. So see, we found the error now. We found that there is the tally mismatch happening. Clear? Now, in order to rectify those tally, so where we cannot change the entries there. So we have to make a separate things, and then we have to mention those the adjustment part. Clear? Wherever the error happened. So,
Okay, sir.
yeah, in order to
So,
prepare the
the error part is written in the bank reconciliation statement.
correct.
Okay, sir.
Yes. In order to prepare the bank reconciliation statement, we need to have the bank balance as per the cash book and the bank statement on a particular day along with the details of both the books. This part is very, very important. Understand this part. Whenever you are going to prepare the bank reconciliation statement, you need to have bank balance as per the cash, because whatever the cash book, because see, cash book is like, there is no credit entries in the cash book. So cash book is like everything is given and taken things. So that entry is straightforward. Whichever the date you pick it up, that has to be correct, unless some error is there. Correct? But in the bank statement, check, there is a possibility that the delay can happen in this part. Check which is given to the bank, it may take 1 or 2 days to credit this part. So there can be difference now, right? So bank statement. So when you take on a particular day, basically we want to tally on the day to day basis. So on which particular day you are trying to do the tally. So that statement on that till that particular day, bank statement also has to be obtained.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, understood this part clear? If the two balances differ, then the entries in both the books are compared and the items on the account of which the difference has arisen ascertained with the respective amounts involved. So the bank reconciliation statement may be prepared in the format shown in the figure. Now, draw this figure 5.2.
Okay, sir.
Perform over the bank reconciliation statement. Write down this part. What are the things? The main first column is add and less. Particulars is bank balance of the cash book. Checks issued but not presented. Amount this much. And checks deposited but not credited to the bank. Bank charges not recorded in the cash book. This part. So we have the two entries there, add and less. Just write down this part. Yeah, Vishnu. Done here?
I didn't get this one.
Oh, you didn't get, okay. Now let's understand. See, calculate the molar solubility of the NiOH hold twice in 0.1 molarity of NiOH solution. And the ionic product of NiOH hold twice is 2 × 10 to the power minus 15. So what is the goal here? We need to find the molar solubility. Correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Molar solubility we need to find. That means molar solubility is again, the solvent is given as NaOH solution to you, and the solute here is NiOH whole twice. Solvent's concentration is also given as 0.1 molar. Clear? Okay.
Okay.
Now, ionic product of NiOH whole twice is given as this part. So, ionic product is given to you as this part, right? 2 × 10 to the power minus 15. Correct? KSP is given for because it's sparingly soluble. The soluble product is given to you now. Now you mentioned this. Assume the solubility is S of the NiOH whole twice. Clear? That is the standard which you do.
Yeah.
Now, when you do the standard, then now NiOH whole twice. When you do that, so what the ions will come up now? For the NiOH, when it comes out, it will come as the Ni 2 plus 2OH minus. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? When it dissolves, so you write the equation now. Ni 2 plus 2OH minus. So when you consider the solubility is S for the Ni, and the OH. The ratio is 1:2. Correct? So 1 into S will be the concentration of the Ni, and 2 into S will be the concentration of the OH minus. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now solubility concentration. Now let's try to understand that. Now we already know that when NiOH is going to split into ions, it is going to put the 2 moles of OH minus ions. And you already have the 0.1 moles of NaOH. When NaOH is going to split, you already have the molar concentration of 0.1 mole. That means OH ions concentration is 0.1 moles per liter. Correct? Both the units are same.
Okay.
So when you try to find the ionic product of NiOH solution, so basically the concentration KSP will be given as Ni2 plus into power 1 into 2OH minus whole power 2. Correct?
Yeah.
But here 2OH is nothing but 2OH is added with one more 0.1 molar of NaOH solution. So total concentration of OH ion is 2S plus 0.1, isn't it? So since we are finding the KSP for the NiOH, the product will be equal to KSP, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead with that. And just equate it and get the value of S, solve it.
Okay.
Any questions, any doubts?
No, sir.
Clear?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Perfect. Okay, Tanisha, have you written this part now? Figure 5.2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now pretty much a similar thing, because add and less is the two rows you have to enter, because if it is less, because see, whenever there is a difference in tally, it has to be, if it is equal, then you don't have to make this reconciliation statement. If at all there is a difference, that means there will have to be added and they have to subtracted, isn't it? To the entry has to be added, then only it will be matching, because you can't just add and without subtracting. So when you add, then there has to be subtraction also, isn't it? Clear. So what are the common things which we added now? Balances as per the cash book is given, and checks issued but not presented. Now look at this part now. Balance in as per the cash book, balance is more, but in the bank balance it's less. So what is the reason? Checks which were issued but not presented. That means checks was there with the seller only, it was not given to the bank. So again there is a difference in the statement, right?
Yes, sir.
So that has to get added now. Next can be interest credited by the bank. So bank statement can vary, because bank has the more addition, because cash book entries are lesser but bank entry is more,
Yes, sir.
because the interest added is in the bank. Clear? Next, less. When can be the less scenario? You deposited the check but not credited by the bank. Correct? Again, this is the less scenario in this case part now, because your cash book entry is more than the bank part.
Yes, sir.
You know? Now see, one addition part is the one is the reason with the seller part, other reason can be the bank part also. Bank charges not recorded in the cash book. If the bank has taken some charges, bank has maintaining some charges, it has done some penalty fines, or some annual charges is have taken.
Yes, sir.
If its annual charges have been taken, have not been recorded in the cash book. So those, then the entries can be different. So right now, then your last entry will be balance as per the passbook. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It can also be prepared by the two amounts columns as shown, one showing the addition, other showing the deductions. Now same thing, can you just write on the template of this also now? Instead of
Yes.
addition lesson, write on this template only. No need to write all the things, just maintain the two columns now, amount
Yes, sir.
plus and minus. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's analyze the figure 5.1. Once you are done with this part, and let's analyze the figure 5.1 and explain me your understanding in this part.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, Vijay.
will be 2 into 10 power minus 13.
Correct. 2 into 10 power minus 13. So, will it be which category it will belong, Vijay? Is it soluble, less soluble, slightly soluble, or sparingly soluble?
It's sparingly soluble, sir.
Excellent. Clear? Did you understand how did you solve this problem?
Yes, understood.
Explain. Explain your understanding, Vijay.
Okay, so this one,
Yeah.
we have to find the molar solubility of NaOH whole by, which is in 0.10 moles of NaOH.
Mhm.
The ionic product is 2 into 10 power minus 15. We first take the solubility of NaOH whole by as H.
Mhm.
And and this H mole of Ni2 plus and 2S mole of OH minus. But total concentration of OH would be 0.10 plus 0.2 plus 2S mole.
Okay.
So we use the KSP formula. So 2 into 10 power minus 15 gives H plus into OH minus whole square. It becomes S into 0.10 into 2S whole square.
Mhm.
And KSP is less than 0.10 mole, so it will become sparingly soluble.
Mhm. Correct.
So it will be S into 0.10 whole square. So it will become 2 into 10 power minus 13.
Yeah. Correct answer. Yeah. Excellent. You understood, right? This part is clear to you? Any questions?
Yes,
Any
sir.
doubts in that part?
No, sir, it's all clear.
Fine. Okay, Vijay. Chalo, Vijay. I think let's close it now for you, Vijay. So just revise
Okay,
the
sir.
things part. We'll continue this part. Okay? Next class.
Okay.
Okay? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
oh, sir, I'm done.
You done? Okay. Can you explain me the figure 5.1, the meaning of this part now?
So basically they're saying that the opening balance in the bank, so the cash at bank was like 50,782.30 paise.
Correct?
So then they are debiting 35,000, which makes it the remaining is like 15,782.30 paise.
Mm-hmm.
Then again 10,000 is getting deducted from the remaining balance. Then it becomes 5,782.30 paise.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the credit side is basically getting added and all the debit side is getting subtracted.
What is by CLG means?
No idea.
By clearing, check clearance. Whenever the check clearance is there, so they'll mention short form of mentioning as by CLG, by check clearing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And what is this to self?
So it's so drawings.
Correct. Drawings. Okay. Next part is that. And two service charges. What is two service charges?
The service charges that is taken by the bank.
Correct. Fine. By clearing, everything is fine. Clear this part. Any questions? Any doubts in the
No.
understanding this part? Fine.
No.
Okay. Now, reconciliation in the cash book and the bank passbook balances. The amounts to an explanation of the difference between them, and the difference between the cash book and bank passbook is caused by the two reasons of this part is one is the timing difference, and other is the errors made by the business or by the bank. Correct? These are only two reasons which happens the error in the transaction. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so we'll try to understand these two differences now. What are the timing differences now we have? Two factors which include the timing differences are: first is check issued by the bank but not yet presented for the payment. Now, if the checks are issued by the firm to suppliers or the creditors of the firm and they are immediately entered on the credit side of the cash book, but by receiving the party may not present the check to the bank or payment immediately. So the bank, that means you got the check but you have not given to the bank. Clear this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay, bank will only debit when the checks are actually paid to the bank. So basically it's again the logistic issue.
Okay, sir.
So there is a time gap there. So this has to be manually done. So it is not done. This accumulates the time lag. So once there is a delay, then you can expect that balances will not match.
Okay, sir.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Clear, right? Okay. Yeah. Checks paid into the bank but not yet collected. When the firm receives a check from its customers, the debtors, they are immediately recorded by the debit side of the cash book, and this increases the bank balance as per the cash book. However, the bank credits the customer account only when the amount of checks are actually realized. So clearing of the checks generally takes a few days, especially in the case of the outstation checks or which the checks are paid in at the bank branch other than the one at which the account of the firm is maintained. This leads to the cause of difference between the bank balance as shown by the cash book and the balance shown by the bank passbook. Now, firm receives a check from the customers. When the firm receives a check from the customers, they will immediately put it in the debit side in the cash book. But bank has not yet collected it yet. Correct? Second part is the same. The bank will credit only when the check has to be realized, isn't it? Same thing. I think this first and second was pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Next, third one. Direct debits made by the bank on the behalf of the customers now. Direct debits made by the bank on the behalf of the customers. Now, what does this mean? When the bank deducts the amount of various services from the account without the firm's knowledge. This is what we discussed, right? So can you tell me what are the things we discussed in the table 5.1? Which categories will come in the direct debits made by the bank on behalf of the customer?
Sir, drawings.
Correct answer, drawings.
Sir, the service tax.
Correct. Whatever was there is the service tax. Yes.
Sir, and CLG.
CLG by the clearing part. Why CLG? How CLG will come?
So CLG is like the credit for the bank, right?
Correct. But why that will come in the part, this part? Because
Yes.
here we are direct debits, right? Made by
Yes.
the bank. So we need a debit only, not
So
credit.
that's only service. So then it's only
Yeah.
self, right? Drawings part.
Yes, and then bank charges, right? That you will be debiting, right? Which was the bank charges we did? Yeah, 120. Service charge, 120 rupees, right? Those things. Now look at this part. This is from this table you can see only the one part, but second part we can understand from this examples. Sometimes what is a check collection charges. We only give the CLG, but in that CLG you can include the collection charges also, but that you have to mention separately on the debit side. Clear? If bank comes and collects, they can do the collection charges. Incidental charges that can become in the miscellaneous ones, so don't worry about that part. Interest on overdraft, unpaid checks deducted by the bank, stopped or the bounce, etc. So unpaid checks means if the check is bounced or not realized. The the deduction charges will be applicable. So those things will be directly goes on the debit side. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Understood? Just write on this chart, these typical 4 things now. Check collection charges, incidental charges, interest on overdraft, unpaid charges, etc.
Okay.
Next, amounts directly deposited in the bank account now. These are instances when the debtors directly deposit money into the firm's bank account, but the firm does not receive the intimation from any source till it receives the bank statement. In this case, the bank records this receipt in the firm's account at the bank, but the same is not recorded in the firm's cash book. When this case can come, Ganesha? You deposit to the firm's bank account and they have not entered in the cash book. This can be a scenario can also happen, right? By whatever the clearing things is, you give the check to the. This can happen when they forget to enter in the cash book, because ideally the first process is that it has to go from the cash book and then the check has to get realized, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
But if by some situation can come, the recipient directly deposits the check in the bank on the firm's name. Okay, and those entries are not known in the in the cash book, so there will be chances that they will not tally. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Next part, 5.1%. Interest and dividends collected by the banks. This is another thing. This is totally unaware of this part now. If they don't know which quarter they are going to collect it, so they will expect the tally not matching. Correct? When the bank collects the interest or dividend on behalf of the customer, then these are immediately credited to the customer's account. But the firm will know only about this transaction only when they record the same in the cash book, only when it receives the bank statement. When they receive the bank statement, then only they can record this part. But till that time, they will not be knowing, because that timings will be different. Quarterly timings will be different for the bank to credit the interest or the dividend. Clear?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Next, direct payments made by the bank on behalf of the customers now. Sometimes the customers give a standing instruction to the bank to make some payment regularly as stated days to the third parties. Example, this is the recurring thing. Okay, this is the recurring bills, which suppose the firm asks the bank to pay, or they have enabled this thing to pay recurrently, to give the payments every month, example like a telephone bills or premiums, rents. So this is the auto deduction mode, right? These are in the auto mode, which will get deducted, and it will not be aware in the cash book. So there can be differences, right? Unless there is the mechanism which you track it, right? So this entry is because that will be directly debiting from the firm's account. Okay.
So can you explain again?
Okay. Example. See, suppose the firm has to pay the telephone bills monthly.
Okay, sir.
But he forgets, because all these entries he knows has to again enter in the cash book whenever this payment has to be scheduled. But the bank automatically does this for him, so that the manual entry has to be done separately for it if it forgets to enter these things. But the amount is already been deducted every month. Got it? So then there will be a difference in the balance amount. Because in this case happens is that you are debiting directly from the account, but the entry is not being recorded in the cash book, because it is done in the auto mode.
Okay, sir.
And but the entry on the cash book is the manual mode. Correct? So it's not synchronized.
Yes,
but every month, like 4th, the bill has to be paid for the telephone bill. But you don't have the every month automated mode for 4th to enter in the cash book, right? That telephone bill has to be, so there will be a difference in the entries. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, it can be for it. Telephone bills was the example. It can be insurance premium, it can be rent, or it can be any taxes also. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Any questions? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Next. Okay. So checks deposited, bills discounted, dishonored now. Next case, G part. When you deposit the check or the bill, discounted, dishonored. What do you mean by discounted, dishonored? Suppose the check deposited by the firm is dishonored or the bill of exchange drawn by the business firm is discounted with the bank is dishonored on the date of the maturity. Now, you remember we discussed that in the last two classes that when it was the dishonored. So again the penalty fine
Yes.
will be taken, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you deposit a check and the check is bounced, so again your bill of exchange is drawn on the business firm. Now you are making it discounted at the bank, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
At
sir.
time of maturity. Now again the same amount has to get debited from the customer's account, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so in this the bill of exchange, this information is when it is this bill of exchange when you're making it, so that information is there with the firm, but that is not there with the email. But there's not entry is there in the cash book regarding the above items,
Yes, sir.
correct? So this will be
Yeah.
known to the firm when it receives the statement from the bank. So bank will immediately do that. Bank will immediately do the dishonored check, and it'll do the bill of exchange, whatever the amount he has to minus. That can be done, but that is done immediately in the bank statement. But that is not known to the cash book because that will take time to prepare the bills of exchange, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So as a result, the passbook would be less than the cash book balance. So cash book will be more than the bank statement.
Yes, sir.
Clear? Any
Yes.
questions? Any doubts, Anisha?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Now, difference caused by the errors. Now, sometimes the difference between the two balances may be accounted for by the error or the part of the bank by an error in the cash book of the business. This causes the difference between the bank balance shown in the cash book and the bank balance shown by the bank statement. Okay, for a couple of examples now, let's do it. Difference caused by the errors now. What are the different errors we encounter now? Now, first, errors committed in the recording transaction by the firm. Now, see, till the first cases were exactly like delay factors, isn't it? First case, whatever we discussed, is the timing difference, isn't it? Because there was the not a, at the same time both the entries were not done because in the cash book and the bank statement. So there was a time delay. So that those kind of in the time delay we defined the multiple number of ways in which the errors can be possible, right? Where the
Yes.
entries. Now we are defining the 5.1 difference caused by the errors only now. That means there is no timing difference. There is actual error, right? What kind of errors can be possible now? First, it's all the manual errors now. Errors committed in recording transaction by the firms. Firm itself has recorded the wrong transactions. What do you mean by wrong transactions? Transaction relating to the issues relating to the checks issued and checks deposited wrong totaling committed by a firm while recording the entries in the cash book. Suppose the cash check entry was for 50,000, you recorded only 40,000. Then it's a direct impact on the balance, direct impact on the tally not matching. Correct? This is the
Yeah.
direct manual error. Second,
Yeah.
error committing a recording transaction by the bank. So not only the firm, bank can also do the wrong recordings. Recording of transaction related to the checks deposited and wrong totaling committed by the bank when posting entries in the passbook. Again, same thing, right? The error can be done by the firm or error can be done by the bank. What kind of error? Again, recording the entries, totaling is mistake. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's go to this part now. Neha. Now let's categorize now. Read the following transaction, identify the cause and difference on the basis of the time gap. Are the errors made by the business firm or the bank put a tick mark in the correct cause now? Let's do this part now. Then we'll analyze the things. Okay. First transaction.
Okay.
Check issued by the customer but not presented for the payment. Which kind of error it is? Which kind of, error it will be?
So timing error.
Correct. Check amounting to 5,000 issued to the MSXYZ but recorded as 500 in the cash book.
So transaction error.
Correct answer. Errors made by the business bank. Correct. Next, interest credited by bank but not yet recorded in the cash book.
So transaction errors made by the business and bank.
Third one.
So they're saying it's not recorded yet.
So it's the timing.
Okay, sir.
Interest credited by bank but not yet recorded in the cash book. See, cash book entry will be only done when you get a bank statement.
Okay, sir.
You not know. So this kind of error is not related to any errors. Firm has not done any error. It's the time gap.
Okay, sir.
Next,
Okay.
fourth one.
So time gap.
Correct. Fifth one.
So errors made by business or bank.
Fifth one, yeah, correct answer. Correct. Charges debited to the firm's accounts. No. Why it is that? No. Bank charges, no? Again is a timing gap. Bank charges debited to the firm's account, a current account by the bank. So their passbook will not have this entry, right? Again, this is the time gap entry, time gap problem.
Okay.
There is not
Okay.
no errors. Bank is not making any errors here, right? Clear this part? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go to the next part now.
So passbook is a copy of bank statement as it appears in the ledger of the bank.
Correct. Correct answer.
So when money is withdrawn from the bank account gets debited. So debited the account of the customer.
Correct. Yes.
So the cash book shows the debit balance and the passbook will show the credit balance.
Correct.
So favorable balance as per the cash book means debit balance in the bank column of the cash book.
Correct. Correct answer.
So it must the passbook must be added for the purpose of reconciliation.
Yes.
Fifth one.
You are right.
The sixth one, so the payment should be deducted to find out cash balance.
Payment should be deducted by. Yeah, correct answer. Seventh one.
So the cash book is lost, then that of the passbook.
When the checks are not presented for the payment, favorable balance as per the cash book is dash than that of the passbook.
So less than
Less
that
than
of the
that. Yeah,
passbook.
correct. This will be No. Checks are not presented for the payment. Cash book will be more, no? It should be more than that of the passbook because bank entry is less. Correct?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
7th, 8th one. When the banker collects the bills and credits the account, passbook overdraft shows dash balance.
So less balance.
Correct. If the overdraft as per the passbook is taken as the starting point, if the check issued but not presented, R2 dash in the bank reconciliation statement.
So add it to the bank reconciliation statement.
Correct. When the passbook balance is taken as the starting point items which makes the passbook balance dash than the balance in the cash book must be deducted for the purpose of reconciliation.
So more the amount, the balance will be more than the cash book.
Correct. Yes. And is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now, after identifying the cause of difference, reconciliation may be done in the following two ways. First, bank reconciliation statement without adjusting the cash book balance, and preparation of bank reconciliation statement after adjusting the cash book balance. So, two ways we can do it now. See, now we know there is a difference now. This difference has to be adjusted now. What is the method in which we are going to adjust? In two ways. First, we have to prepare the bank reconciliation statement. First, we can make the reconciliation statement without making any change in the cash book balance. Second, we can still make the reconciliation statement after making some changes in the cash book. Right? There are only two ways we can do that. Which are the things we will do that? Let's see that part. Correct? Now, preparation of bank statement without adjusting a cash book balance now. Which other things will come? Let's try to understand, okay? When we want to make a reconciliation statement, under this approach, the bank balance, the balance as per the cash book, as per the passbook is the starting item now. The debit balance as per the cash book means the balance of the deposits held at the bank. Such as the balance will be credit balance as per the passbook. Such a balance exists when the deposit made by the firm are more than its withdrawal. It indicates a favorable balance as per the cash book and favorable balance as per the passbook. Now, understand this part now. What is the first point for maintaining making the reconciliation statement now? You need to take both the things, bank balance, both the accounts together now. One from the passbook, other from the cash book. Clear? Both you will check the debit balance now.
Okay.
That means your debit balance in the cash book means the same balance should be there at the bank also. Clear? Debit balance from the cash book, then the balance credit balance as to the bank side. Clear? Now, the balance will be credit balance as per the passbook. Such a balance exists when the deposits made by the firm are more than its withdrawal now. Now, whatever you are depositing is more than its withdrawal. So this is the scenario in which we can say that when the two entries you have taken from whichever the date entry, right? So whatever the balance amount debit in that cash book side, that has to be same in the case of the credit side in the case of passbook. Clear? Both has to match. Now, if the favorable
so whatever is debit
book
will be credit in the
passbook.
Passbook.
Yes.
Okay.
So favorable balance as per the cash book or favorable balance as per the passbook, it indicates, okay, so the name for this is the name given as a favorable balance as per the cash book or the favorable balance as per the passbook. On the other hand, when the credit balance as per the cash book indicates the bank overdraft, in the other one the excess amount withdrawn from the amount deposited at the bank. Now let's say one more thing example now. In the credit balance, in the cash book, if the credit balance is more, correct? Credit balance as per the cash book indicates overdraft, bank overdraft. Means what now? Whenever they say it's overdraft, so that means excess amount is withdrawn from the bank. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Remember that? So whenever you withdraw,
So the overdraft balance should be deducted, right?
Yes, overdraft has to be deducted. Correct. This is known as unfavorable balance as per the cash book. Clear? This, see, we got
Yes.
two things now. When you want, without adjusting cash book, you want to do that. So there is a two things now. One is favorable balance. Second is unfavorable balance. In the favorable balance, your debit and credit should match. Correct? Second thing,
Yes, sir. Yes.
unfavorable means the credit balance on the cash book is more than the bank statement itself, more than what you deposited in the bank, more than the debit side and the bank side. Correct? So extra, the amount is
Okay,
withdrawn
sir.
is more than the amount deposited. Clear? That is called the overdraft. That is called the
Okay.
unfavorable balance. Is it clear now? Any questions? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Fine. Now in this case, we have the four situations will come now in this bank reconciliation statement now. Now, in the debit balance, in the case, see, we are going to talk about two things now, favorable and unfavorable. So you understand the meaning of favorable and unfavorable now, right? Now we'll try to understand in terms of debit and
Yes.
credit now. Favorable balance, debit balance now. Favorable balance means debit balance. In the cash book, it's given the balance as, see, when you give it the balance as per the favorable balance in the cash book, some balance has to be entered in the passbook. That is one condition. Correct? Second condition,
Oh,
credit balance in the favorable conditions is given. So credit balance is given as per the passbook. So the balance has to be entered in the cash book. Clear? See, either
Yes.
of the favorable balance, two entry entry has to be made. Either you do the entry in the passbook or you do the entry in the cash book. Depending on what is the condition. If it is a debit balance, you do the entry in the cash passbook. If it is a credit balance, you do the entry in the cash book. Clear?
okay, sir.
Next, same thing. If you have the credit balance, but as per the unfavorable balance now, overdraft condition. So you need to balance in the passbook now. If there is a credit balance, you need to balance in the passbook now. When the debit balance
Okay,
as per the passbook, unfavorable balance or the overdraft is given, then the cash book balance has to be entertained. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Any doubts?
No.
Fine. Fine, then chalo, I think let's stop it right now.
Yes, sir.
We'll continue this part, okay? But
Okay,
till now, just I want you to revise the things in case you have still any questions, we can discuss them. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Dhanisha. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Bye.